Okay, so I've got the old string off, so that's going to come in there, go down under here, and then as that wraps it'll pull. So now the Boy Scout in me wants to do a bowline here, but actually I need to get this pretty close. So kind of granny-ish knot it is. Now I'm not going to cut that off just yet. And what I'll do is once I'm finished and once that's nice and tight and the other end's tied on as well, then I'll cut both short and put some glue on them, which will stop them coming undone. There's not a lot of spring in there, but it doesn't need a lot. So now it's got to come down under here, around there, along here. Through there, around there, come back. This point it has to do probably 2.5 laps, and I wonder if this is where he went wrong. He being the last person to do this, worked out how much he thought he was going to need, cut it off, and then went, oh, I'm too short. It's not stuff you want to waste, dial cord, because it's hard enough to get. So I'm going to overestimate slightly. There's the dog in disgrace again. Come round there, underneath, come back around and in that hole. So there we go, hopefully enough. And I've had to cut it because I'm going to have to poke it through under here. I've got wires in the way. Stuff is shockingly awful to work with. We got it through. Okay, I think, and it's going to be, I can barely see it, so you guys probably won't. This whole video could just be like watching paint dry, but it is an important part of restoring because it's not often you'll come across an old set that probably doesn't need a dial cord replacement or repair. So this is how I do it. And the immortal words of John from Arkansas, this is how I do it, you're expected to do better. If you don't know who John is, Joernon, Joernone, I think it's linked in my channel anyway. Go and have a look. He's got some really awesome radio videos which I spent many hours watching, and is currently doing a restoration which is also quite interesting, quite good to watch. Now, will that do it? So I'm just crossing over there now. So possibly the original placement was right then. Yep, no crossing over now. Okay, I think that's us about right. Apart from the tension obviously, which will need to be this is going to be the dog video. There's normally a little bit of dog action going on in the background, but today we seem to have an abundance. Alright, so at this point we've got probably close to the right tension, I would say. By taking that off that and then pulling it a bit tighter, what I'm hoping is that I can tie this off now, hook that back under there and have a nice tight dial cord. Get this into a position where I can work it easily. Again, a bowline would be ideal, but it ain't going to happen. And the glue will actually hold it nice and firm. Yeah, looking pretty good. Give myself enough to work with if I need to. Now the pointer on this is pretty straightforward. So that's fully along at that end. Now this metal tab has another metal tab sort of pierced through, and that's where the string goes. So hopefully this string will just lock in there. And I think I've got the tuning gang down this end. There we go. So perfect. Alright, now I'd normally crimp that up onto the string, and I will, but first I'm actually going to check the alignment of the set. I'm not going to mess with any of the tuning stuff unless I have to, unless something like crashing occurs and I've got silver mica disease and have to replace one of those. I just won't be touching that. So I'm going to replace these two capacitors. I'm going to replace this one. Definitely going to replace our little Hunts fellow down here. Yeah, just on that, a lot of restorers hate Hunts capacitors, and the reason being is that, well, actually I can't say what the reason is. I believe the reason is that a lot of Hunts capacitors cause problems, but a lot of all capacitors cause problems. I mean, these Ducon ones, these are all Ducon caps. They're all dead. They've all got to be replaced. So why Hunts gets singled out for vitriolic hatred is a little bit beyond me, but you know, sometimes people just need something to be grumpy at, and Hunts seem to cop it. I did read a very defensive post from an ex-Hunts employee once on a UK vintage radio restoration forum, and he was talking about the fact that actually Hunts produced very high quality gear, and he pointed out, quite rightly so, that actually paper and wax was the technology they had, or paper and foil, and it wasn't long-lived technology. It was great technology using what they had at the time, but it's been superseded now by you know, plastic film rather than paper, and that is far more reliable. But they used what they had, and they produced high quality capacitors. I think he also mentioned something about their production of mil-spec capacitors, so you know, they're good in their day, but almost certainly stuffed now. So when you see them, replace them. Ducon, Hunts, Solar, Aerovox, Cornell, Dublia, whatever. They're all buggered because of the technology that went into making them. Okay, so yeah, we got our electrolytics here. We've got a couple here, there's one over here, there's two here. I think that's probably it. I'm going to have a look around, I'll replace them, and then I shall return. And there we go, all recapped. Actually worked out a lot tidier than I thought. The power caps were run from one tag strip to another, picking up the positive side here and the earth on the other tag strip. Of course, using the single-ended caps that I use, they could just go straight to the center terminal, which is an earth there, so that got them completely out of the way. The red one on top was the decoupling cap for the output bottle, and that's obviously a lot smaller now. And so yeah, we're all done. We're pretty much ready to power up again. While we've got this valve out, 14G2 is the code on the speaker, and that, to the best of my understanding, and I'd love to clarify this, but I was told that 14 was the operator code, so the employee who put the speaker together, that was their code. And G, if it's G, or C, if it's a C, it's kind of hard for me to tell, is the month. So if it's C, that's ABC, January, February, March, so it would have been made in March of 1952. That's what the 2 on the end indicates. So that's a code that was used on Rola New Zealand, and I believe Rola Australia as well. So you can kind of data set assuming the speaker is original. Anyway, we're all done, we're ready to power up. Of course, I have to fix this first, so I'm going to re-terminate this. I'm going to use the original plug, even though it's not type safe, it's the original cord. I've had a look at this, this seems fine. It's a little bit stretched, but it's probably how it would sit coming out that slot in the bottom of the case anyway. So I'll cut this end and I'll re-terminate these 3 wires. I'm not happy with the soldered ends on them, so we'll do that. I'll get it in the plug and we'll put it on the dim bulb and see what happens. We have the plug back on somewhere. There's the dim bulb tester, somewhere right here. This bench is starting to get a wee bit messy. Who am I kidding? It's a lot messy. Never mind. Right, I'm going to plug that in and then I'll flip it over so you can watch. Fire bulb switched off. Now, before I do that, I just also want to check that we're isolated. So mains is just into the mains transformer. Earth is earthed. I'm going to do a quick sanity check on that. It's not a live chassis set, but yep, we're good there. Now that's not a suitable test for earth, by the way. There's no high pot test going on there. We're not actually throwing a large voltage across the earth pin to the chassis to make sure there's no arcing or breakdown of stuff. It's just a basic sanity check. And should not be trusted as the be-all and end-all kind of a test of things. What I will do is put the knobs back on so we don't actually have to touch anything metal. Right, we're switched off. Where do we want to be? Do we want to see this side of it? I want to see if anything blows up too, but it's probably better if it blows up against the bench than against me. So keep an eye on the bulb, if you can even see it, because too much light. So no glow, no glow, no glow, nothing. It's drawing basically nothing. Which it is just a 4-valve set. You can see the filament just starting to glow now as things are warming up. It's a 4-valve set that's been recapped, so I wouldn't expect. Okay, working. Now that's pretty quiet, but we are via the bulb, so let's just go full voltage. Still very quiet. Alright, so it's working. It's incredibly quiet. If I put my finger on the aerial wire, much louder. I don't know how much better I could expect from a 4-valve set from out here. 7:30, that pointer's bang on. If that is the channel I think it is. Actually, it might not be.
Plus receive free sheets, free pillows, free delivery. Yes. The return of the classic.
Now, that's weird. That's very weird. Because that sounds like a station, that's a classic rock, one that should be down here. Now I'm starting to wonder. Okay, and that's Radio Rima. That's that's really interesting. So Rima should be here, and that classic rock we were just listening to should be here. I'm wondering if either this has been replaced, or if the tuning gang's been replaced, or even more obvious that I just completely missed it, I've just restrung the set, and I guarantee you what I've done is put the cord onto the wrong side of the dial. Okay. Alright, look, it's working beautifully. It's actually working way better than I expected, given we're out here in the boonies. But I'm going to go back and check what I did, because I think that's actually me. I think I've put the string around the dial drum the wrong way. Oops. Still, that will teach me for not drawing a diagram of how it was before I started. Not to say it was right before I started. It was definitely wrong. This chord, I'll just put some light back on the situation. So this chord was definitely wrong. It was routed wrong, so that it came round this drum up through here, and it was running across that speaker. So somebody monkeyed with it before, but I think the solution is simply going to be to find something to set that on. Simply going to be to swap these strings over. So I'll do that. And I won't make you watch me, because I might say some rude words while I'm doing it, and then we'll try that again. Alright, let's just get rid of some of the light. That's better. Dial light. Alright, so I'm just going to hold on to the aerial wire again. I'll act as the aerial for this one. And we'll see if we've improved.
What age or stage you're at in life, if you're looking
It'll be
for
one of the
new
talkback stations. Same station. There, the pointer is almost bang on for where I'd expect the stations to be. 7:30 should be another one.
Here's the thing, one person said,
bang on. I'm not even going to mess with this. I've actually put the pointer in exactly the right spot. That's Rima down the bottom at 540. There's another one around 600. 730 is Magic Talk, right there. About 1019 is one of the talkbacks. At 1100 So that's that
Sir
there.
David.
It's repeated
Expect
about
to build 4
1100,
units or apartment.
and then up around 1500 we've got music. And then that's probably the coast coming in just very quietly there. So that's bang on and actually performing really well for where we are out here. So I'm really happy with that. I'm glad I recapped it, and I may hang this on the wall. I'll certainly give the cabinet a bit of a clean up. All I'm going to do is just put that in the tub with some warm soapy water along with the knobs and give it a clean. I'll screw this back in with the one screw that I've got that I can, and see if there's any other way that I can secure it in. I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything about those missing posts that will provide any meaningful long-term solution. Certainly don't want to drill through the cabinet. So I guess we just do what we can do there, and it may end up just being held in by the knobs. I'll put some felts under the knobs to give it a little bit of cushioning, and we'll put it back together. So next time you see it, through the magic of television, it'll be going. And here we are. So I've given the case a bit of a polish up. I took quite a bit of dirt off it, but it's got some slight discoloration that I couldn't get rid of. Knobs have been cleaned, they're about the same, but overall case is in really nice nick. Very happy with it. So it's back in. I've got some felts under the knobs. They are actually holding the chassis in to a certain degree. That won't be quite so bad when it's sitting upright. And these come with feet, or came with feet. Well, I assume they came with feet. There's certainly feet available for them.
To get a free, no obligation quote of how much your property
And that's with an aerial on, so you've got plenty of volume now too.
or check out reproperty.co.nz.
So yeah, really happy with that. Like I say, there's feet that come with it that didn't come with this one, and there's evidence that this one's been hung, and actually evidence that it's been dropped as well, so you know, or rough handled. But what I'd like to do is actually make some feet for it, and when I do that I'll post an update and just show you what I've done. But it'll effectively be making something that looks like the originals. They would have been wood. I assume they screwed into the bottom, but I'm not really sure. They may have screwed into the back. Kind of makes it look like a plate stand. In case your granny's got one of those, you'll know what kind of thing I mean. But I certainly don't want to hang this on the wall. I considered doing it for a final thumbnail, but I'm just not even going to tempt fate with that. That's more than ridiculously dangerous for such an old set just to prove a point. So yeah, really happy with how this has come out. Actually very impressed with the performance, and I didn't align it, I didn't touch it, I got the dial string right first time, within the ballpark. I'm not going to mess around with trying to get every last ounce of performance out of this, because it's a 4-valve set, and the fact that it's working as well as it is out here really tells me that it's actually pretty good. So a lot better than I was expecting to get, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that point, welcome to the hanging horror, which shall not be hanging, and is not horrible. So the unhanging not horror. Thanks for watching.